It's Friday, April 10th, 2026. Let's start off, as we typically do, by reminding you that you can support our show by going to supportourshow.com, which is also in the show notes. So it's also there in case you forget, or just want an easy link and don't want to have to type anything, which I understand, because I, however many years later, suck at typing. So if you don't want to type it out, you just want a link, it's there. It's in the show notes. It'll be right there. It says support our show, and there's a link, and that'll take you there. Also, I don't typically ever remember to say this. Why the hell does that look so... Why is that never mind. That's okay. It's not your problem, everybody. It's mine. I don't know why this window's popping out all the time. That never used to pop out. So whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's just weird that it keeps doing it. In any event, you can leave a review for us if you'd like to somewhere, because I don't think there's any other way. I was given a very nice compliment recently. Unprompted, which all of them are, because it's not like I go fishing for compliments. But an individual who has listened to the show, I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. I have gotten very nice, there have been very nice things said about our show, particularly recently, which is genuinely shocking because, I mean, Lando and I, just so everybody's clear, we're not playing characters when we say we don't know why anybody listens to us. This is not a bit. It's not us fishing for compliments. It's not like that type of thing that some people do. We don't get it. And I in particular, Lando, I understand why people want to hear him. He has a good laugh and he has a good voice.
I don't understand why people...
No, you have... Many people have said that your laugh is demonic, which is a compliment. It's great. It's no, you have the right voice for it. I don't think I do. I've heard myself and I'm like, oh God, I don't like it at all. Plus, I don't think I speak particularly well most of the time. So, like I said, we've gotten some very nice comments, which is very appreciated. Don't get me wrong. And somebody recently said that they thought I spoke very articulately. I don't even know if I said that word correctly.
But you explain yourself. You explain yourself thoroughly and completely.
Yeah, well, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And they said, and you have a good voice. And honestly, because this is a person who's disconnected from everything, so has no incentive to need to kind of pamper or compliment to,
yeah.
You know, like my wife would never say, boy, you sound like shit this week. You know, she's not going to do that, right? We know that people care about you.
Hey, listen. Part of the reason my wife and I got together was because she was one of the few people who would like really lance my writing in such a way where I was like, okay, like she has been meaner to me about my writing, I think, than anybody else.
Well, I when I say that, what I mean is if I said something like, I don't know, all newborns should be killed 15 minutes after they're born. Yeah, I think she'd say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But she's not gonna.
Your wife is hugely supportive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this person, out of, again, unprompted and kind of without anything, saying that, I actually got a little bit emotional about it because I went, really? God, that's so weird because I just can't hear it.
Did you start crying to a stranger?
Well, no, it wasn't a live audio conversation.
Okay.
It was one-sided to a degree.
Got it.
So No, I didn't stop. But I really sat there and was like, God, is that true? Because I don't see it. I don't see it. In the same way that, when you've said and like Doug has said that you really like my artwork, I don't get it. I don't get it because I don't see my artwork as anything. I occasionally do one that I'm like, okay, that came out all right. But most I don't see it that way. So it's the same type of thing.
Well, listen, out of the two of us,
you know,
you got one up on me when it comes to actually getting paid for your art. So you're doing better than me, my man.
Yeah. Well, no, you've sold books. Not many, but you've sold them.
Not many. Listen, at the end of the day, we do this shit because we want to do it. We have other things going on in our lives, but we do the art. Like, I have started writing again. I didn't start writing again because I thought I was going to get published. I started writing again because I had an idea, and it was, like, big enough that I had to get it out of my head. And when I started working on it, I was like, this is for nobody. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere. This is just me. It's just me playing. And I think that's what it is that a lot of life is kind of crap at times, and it's refreshing. Yeah. It's refreshing to be able to just play with reality, to express, what you're doing. It's like all art is expression. It's interacting with the world on any level, interacting with the physical reality. It's manifesting something from your head. So some people get paid, and that's great, and some of us just need to do it regardless. And
along a similar vein, somebody had asked, "Oh, is your show on Spotify?" And I said, as far as I know, it is, because I remember submitting it, but I've never really checked it. And a person said, "Oh no, I found it. I'm subscribing." And I said, "Lower your expectations." So my first response was, I think I said, "Set your expectations low," or something like that. Hey, I was very quick to say, "Hey,
you know what?" So this morning, I came downstairs and I caught my youngest watching a ghost show on YouTube. Right?
Oh, those are the best.
Right? Hold on. And
ghost shows are awesome. I love them.
And the thing is like, you know me, I don't give a shit about ghosts.
No, I don't either. Most of these hilarious
shows. Most of these shows are about them trying desperately to make drama out of something. But it was like a bunch of young guys, and they're like hooligans trying to be like, "Oh my God, did you see that thing move? Oh my God, the light went off!" Oh, right. And my youngest was eating it up. But I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, these guys are assholes. I was like, and not even in like a good way. Like, they're just kind of douchey. And I was like, is this how a lot of this is now? Is there just a lot of like douchery where like people are like really full of themselves and think that they've got, I've got something here and it's so important. And I'm aren't you just like amazed that you're there at all? Like, so at the end of the day,
I think so.
Listen, I don't know why you're here at the end of the day. I'm here because you asked me to be here. And will be here until you ask me not to be here. Otherwise, like I said, I think I told you a while ago, if I found out that you hadn't recorded any of these and it was just us talking shit, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
We have to keep ourselves from getting analytical. And you know what? I like being analytical and picking things apart. So here we are. While you slowly break the show over there. But seriously,
I wasn't breaking something. I just realized I haven't put the copyright for 2026 in yet.
There you go. But seriously,
it matters. But
if you know that I don't ever make any commentary about money, but I'm going to make commentary right now. If you like the length of these shows, if you like that we go on, if you like the long shows, I know it's a very, very niche crowd out there. Joe and I are rapidly destroying our storage.
That's true.
It's true. So if you like the niche, if you like the niche long length show that we do, now would be a good time to support the show. Doesn't take much, dollars through the Patreon or whatnot. If you like that, if you feel like the shows are too long, and some people do, then you know what? Then just keep on keeping. But if you do like the length of the shows, then now is a good time. Because, we are blasting through storage space, and the shows will begin to get tampered down if we can. I mean, at one point Joe was like, maybe we should like shorten these shows, and I was actually sitting there thinking, how? We don't even know what we're doing half the time. So
well, okay, no, I could make sure.
I know. We'd have to have like the music where we play ourselves off for the Oscars, right?
Oh God, I should get playoff music.
Yeah.
I really
so, anyhow, I don't often voice this because I don't like it, but I am voicing it this time. That if this is an aspect of the show that you do like, now's a good time to support the show because we may not be able to do it soon because we are rapidly running out of space.
All right.
So
okay. We're not going to not be able to do it, but
we're going to do
the
show. We're just not going to do. We're not going to do.
But here, let me
anymore.
present.
That's what we're talking about.
Let me present a. Oh, they're putting out a 4K of Day of the Dead. Sorry.
Stop shopping.
No, it isn't really shopping. I'm always looking for weird news, like the thing that before we recorded about.
Oh, okay.
Like Luke Cage and Iron Fist coming back type stuff. I'm always kind of like, oh, this is something interesting. In case there's a. Like when you found the lantern, the Lanterns trailer, just like a little opening bit in case we don't have one. I always kind of have a couple in the hopper or whatever. But that was where similar to what you're saying, on the other side, the other way to, I'm going to use, you were talking about big words, ameliorate this particular potential issue. I don't get to use that word very often. That's a good word.
That's at least 25 cents.
I can't believe I actually pronounced it correctly. That's a miracle. But another way to offset, for those who don't want to look up what that word means, because it is a weird word that most people don't use. Unless you're in financial. Financial people use that fucking word all over the place. But the other side is reviews. If you write, and they don't have to be a novel. If the reviews do something on these services.
Dude,
they do
tend
to bring things up.
Reviews just confuse the hell out of people.
I don't, no, listen to me. I'm fine with that. Write a confusing review. I'm not saying I don't want a sycophantic review. If anything, I'd like something that's enigmatic so that somebody sits there and goes, why would somebody be moved to write this about this show? Because there is no straight review that's going to work for our show. We know, you and I know this already. You can't write there and say, wow, they provide a really clear and concise, topical takedown of today's news and cut through all the bullshit of the political nonsense that suffuses our modern life. No, we don't do that. You're not going to be able to write that review. We aren't topical. We don't cover specific things only, so it makes it impossible to write a straightforward review. Therefore, go crazy. I don't want a normal review. I'm encouraging you to write things that make no sense. I really don't care. But as long as the rating is high as far as the stars, who cares what you write? You could put 5 stars and put, I don't know, Egg Foo Young plus inflatable pool raft equals fun time for 3 hours. And that's your review. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Because I don't think most people read reviews anyway. They look at the stars thing, but on the off chance somebody does, if I read that, I would literally go, okay, why? Why did somebody write this? And I would listen to it. And then decide whether I ever listen to it again. No, it's fine. Well, I'm not saying don't write a normal review. I'm saying don't feel like you have to.
Now is a good time. If you ever thought about supporting the show, now is a good time.
Yeah. So that's all. Because I never remember to say anything about writing reviews. So that's all. Because that does apparently surface things in places. It does seem to do something. I've talked to people who actually make a living to some degree from this stuff. And one thing that many of them have said, because I'm always just curious, because I don't know how anybody who doesn't spend all their time focused on this makes any money at it. And one thing that these people have told me is, the reviews actually do matter because unless you're going to chase algorithm trends, which we're not going to do that ever. I don't care, because if we did, nothing of what we do makes any sense. None of it. The 5s are too short. Our regular shows are too long. The magic number is not possible for us, which is like 45 minutes.
What?
No. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
We're barely in it at that point.
That's what I'm saying. So I clearly understand, nor do I really want to, that going after the suggested way to succeed, that is not an avenue available to us for many reasons. A, I don't care. B, it doesn't make sense with our show. 3, I don't care. 4, I don't know how we would re-engineer the show to make it happen. And 5, I don't care. So
I didn't know there was engineering going on.
Listen, you can very quickly...
No. This show, there's no engineering in this show.
That's not true. I did get feedback on the audio and have fixed that as far as applying compression and proper volume control.
You're talking about the technical presence of the show. I'm talking about the actual show. Yeah.
No, the only thing that the one thing that I do make some effort to do, and this wasn't really intentional at first, but I kind of stick with it now, is I really have no desire in most cases to talk about anything that everybody else is already talking about. Not because I'm like, oh, it sucks, but because there's already 80 people talking about it. What's the point? Why am I going to review the same movie that everybody else is reviewing? What am I going to add to that? I might have one funny comment, bestiality themed or whatever, because now apparently that's some kind of subgenre for us. That might be the one thing I add, but you're going to listen to 3 hours for that because it might not happen. I have just now made it happen. So again, that will now come up as a search term if somebody were to look at the audio, like the text of it. But I don't feel like I add much to, and I'm not interested in the stuff that's popular anymore because I don't feel like it's made for me. And instead of me spending an hour like some of these dorks do, ranting about how it's because of wokeism or they do blah, 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 and just like foaming at the mouth over shit that's not important, I'll go back and watch something from the mid-'80s that I know is kind of made for me, and I'll talk about that on the off chance that not many people are talking about that, and then somebody else who is on that wavelength finds it.
It's time to talk about
some
things that aren't important. Because I have a review.
Nothing is important. Hold on. I actually have a... Hold on a minute. Where is... Ooh, geez. Which one of these do I want to use for talking about something that's not important? I'm going to use this one. Go for it.
There you go. So I think it was last week they talked about the Black Canary Best of the Best Tom King series.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so I finished it and I wanted to talk about it because it's a weird book.
That means I don't have to alter the first link in the show notes. Thank you.
Why? What was that?
Well, because when we start the show, I open the Libsyn file and I copy the text of the last show and then I just update it as we go. So now I don't have to do that.
So this is a weird book. I didn't
This is Tom King, right?
Yes, it's Tom King. So it's called Black Canary, Best of the Best, and Tom King is the author. I wasn't sure that I liked it as I was reading it, right?
Yeah.
But I was compelled to read it. And the thing that put me off the most about it is something that other people might like. So I'll get into it. So the whole format of the book is that Black Canary and Shiva, two who I didn't realize Black Canary was as good of a hand-to-hand fighter as she is, but apparently she is one of the best. And Shiva are having a what do you call it, a prize fight, right, to prove who's the best. And the comic, I think I said last week, it's in two parts. The fight is going on, and then as the fight's going on, they keep cutting back to the preamble of how she came to be in this fight, right?
Yeah.
Along with other various backflashes to her youth, right? So the entire, I think it's like 6 issues. I think 6, 7 issues. The entire run is just this fight. The fight is going on through the entire book in the background, right? You cut to it, you get like a few pages of violence, and then you cut back to something else that's happened before. So things never get slow, right? Yeah. This would work really well as a movie, honestly. Because every time you started to get like mired in drama, there'd be like, several minutes of ass kicking. And there is several minutes of ass kicking, continuously through the book. What I didn't like was that a lot of the combat doesn't have conversation. It's just them fighting. So they fill the space with 2 ringside commentators, which I find ringside commentating to get obnoxious fairly quickly. And these 2 are pretty fucking obnoxious. And not because they're written poorly. They sound exactly like, MMA fight commentators, WWF wrestling fight commentators, baseball commentators. Like these are definitely sport commentators, and they do it. I think King put the dialogue there because otherwise it would be a lot of fighting with no real commentary, right? And the commentary is amusing because the commentary basically shows the perception of the audience. So it shows that the audience doesn't necessarily understand what's going on. For one, when the fight starts, everyone thinks that Shiva's going to kick Black Canary's ass within the first round, and that's going to be it, right? So there's that level of it. And I actually thought you might like that because I think you like commentary, sports commentary, far more than I do, for its kind of like ridiculous, over-the-top nature.
In some cases, I do. I can find it. I do find it almost absurdist when it's done correctly, but the rest of the time, I'm with you, where it is like driving nails into my face. It's not.
Yeah, and that thing is, it can get that way. But then the other part of the book is how Black Canary gets here, and the thing is that this version of Black Canary is the second generation. She is the daughter of the previous Black Canary, so it's like the golden age Black Canary. And, I mean, part of this book is like fucking child abuse, because it's Black Canary, the senior, training the younger Black Canary, and basically turning her into like a hardcore, fighter. And like her mom is fucking brutal. Like the train, I mean, just the description of the training alone she puts her through. But it's also like the constant testing. Like her youth, there's a lot of trauma in this book. And like she adores her mother, and she just wants to like prove that she's the best. But it's like, it's just such a weird way to grow up, and you're getting like little tidbits of this throughout the book. And like even at one point, like her mother just says to her, "Oh, we're gonna go out tonight. There's no training." And this is like one of the various backflashes, and they go out to a bar and they're drinking, and the Black Canary Jr., whatever, the younger, basically says, "Is this a test? Are you testing me right now?" And the mom's like, No, I'm not testing you. It's like, we're just having dinner. And they end up getting a little drunk and talking. And then as they're leaving the bar, like they actually have somewhat of a heart-to-heart. And as they leave the bar, we just talked about the guy that oh God, was he? Is it not Hellcat? Do you remember the DC guy?
Oh, yes, yeah, Catman. Is his name Catman?
He's not Catman, but yeah, his last name is Grant, I think.
Justice Society. Hold on, yeah.
She basically trained him, and they trained together, and he's another incredible hand-to-hand combat fighter. He was like a boxer at one point. He suddenly shows up and basically takes a swing at the Black Canary younger, and she's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And the guy's like, "Hey, this is a test." And then the mom, who's drunk, is like, "Oh man," she's like, "I totally forgot the test." At which point, Black Canary younger has to essentially defend herself and beat up this guy while she's very drunk, right? And she does, because she's very good. But it's like her whole youth seems to be lit up with shit like this. And her mother, you come to realize...
Wildcat,
that's what it is, yeah.
Is the name.
Her mother is dying of some kind of cancer, right? So, as she's training her daughter, she is dying. And so you're reading this book and you're like, where is this going? Like, why is she doing this fight? At which point, Randall Savage from DC? Is it Randall Savage?
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
What's her face killed him? Oh, no, sorry, I'm thinking of Maxwell Lord. But yes, I know who Randall Savage is, yes.
Yeah.
He's an immortal, right? Isn't he
He's immortal, yeah. So at one
Yes,
point in the book, Randall Savage gets caught by Black Canary and Green Arrow. And Savage knocks out Green Arrow with something. And he approaches Black Canary and he's like, "Hey, listen," he's like, I surrender. He's like, "You don't have to beat me up." He's like, "But because we're here," he's like, "and we're waiting for your friend to wake up." He's like, "How about a little bit of friendly chatter?" And he says, I felt really bad when I found out that your mom was dying. He's like, she used to beat the shit out of me back in the day. He's like, and I don't like the idea of her dying like that. He's like, "So how about this?" He's like, I stand to make a bit of money if maybe you could go down in that fight against Shiva. And she's like, "Fuck you, man." And he's like, No. He's like, "I have a cure to your mom's illness." Which, I guess they never come right out and say cancer, but she is dying of something, which I guess,
Sure.
And Savage basically says, "I have the cure. He's like, you go down in the 6th round. He's like, and that'll make it so that everyone starts to think, oh shit, maybe she might win. Like, and the odds will sway in such a way where Savage can make a fucking ton of money because everyone in the world is watching this fight the way they set it up. And at first she's like, no, fuck this. She's like, fuck you, buddy. And he's like, okay. He's like, you let me know if you change your mind. And she leaves, and Green Arrow wakes up, and he's like, did I miss something? And then later on, her mom has this bout of, where she's in the hospital again. I mean, she's totally bald, which is why I think it's cancer. And Black Canary finally,
that's usually the visual kind of note that this is what it is.
And it's this question of, what is worth it? Is giving up worth it if it saves my mom? Is my mom's? Mm-hmm. Is it worth it to keep her alive more than to show that I'm the best? And so these kind of heavy questions kind of percolate through the book, which is what kept me reading, because I'm like, okay, it's like if it was just this kind of 2 format, whatever, like you can do this wrong or you can do it boring, but it's not boring because as the fight goes on, I mean, Shiva's fucking kicking her ass half the thing. And the Wildcat is her. It basically is like co-training her with her mother. So Wildcat is there at the fight. And at one point, Black Canary gets thrown out of the ring, and Shiva starts like hitting her with a chair, and Wildcat tries to step in and be like, hey, like that's she's had enough. Like, at which point Shiva kicks the shit out of Wildcat right in front of Black Canary. So like Shiva keeps pissing her off and keeps pushing her. And you keep thinking that Shiva is going to win. And it just gets more and more brutal. And apparently the way this fight is written, if you kill your opponent, they've signed a waiver. The only way for you to lose is if you actually surrender. So if you're unconscious, right, and you don't surrender, they can keep wailing on you. Right? Right. So it's a very...
So you have to tap out actively.
Yes, you have to actively tap out. You have to actively say the other person's more, and they make you fucking hate Shiva through this. I mean, Shiva is already kind of a self-involved character. But they really make you kind of dislike her through this process. And you are left through the whole book going, are you going to get your ass kicked? Are you going to beat Shiva? Like, what is going to happen here? So I guess spoilers abound if you don't want to know what happens. Essentially, Black Canary gets to a point where she is just so enraged at the idea that she's going to lose, that she's going to be proven, and essentially, Shiva keeps calling her white trash and basically tells her, too bad about your dead mommy. Like, she's a bitch. And she just gets Black Canary so angry that Black Canary essentially kicks the shit out of her in the 5th round. And when Shiva's about to say, I surrender, Black Canary remembers that she has to go down in the 6th, and she basically knocks her unconscious so they can make it to the next round. And then you're left with this situation where it's like, you can beat her. Like, you can beat her. You almost just beat her. You actually broke her. Nobody else realizes it because you knocked her out. I was like, but like, you're on the precipice of being the best, of your mother who's still alive at this point, knowing you're the best. What's more important? And that's this, like, big hovering question. It's like, what's more important to you? Saving her or having her die knowing you're the best? Which is, like, deep down this thing that she wants. And I saw it coming. I figured what she was going to do in the last issue, which is that she gets to a point where she's kicking the shit out of Shiva. She's knocked her out again. It's very obvious that Shiva's going to fucking give up. At which point she turns to the ref and just goes, I surrender. And they're like, what? And they're like, yep, I'm done. And she just, walks off the fight. And Savage gives her the cure. Her mother lives. And they do this thing where the second to last shot in the book is her in the hospital with her mom. And her mom being like, I weirdly feel a lot better. She's like, and her daughter's like, yeah, maybe things are turning up. And the mom's like, well, we'll see about that. And then she's like, how did the fight go? She's like, I was unconscious for that. And she's like, I lost. And the mom's like, oh, well. She's like, you know what? You'll get him next time. And Black Canary, the younger, is happy the fact that she kept her mom alive, that she feels like she made the right choice. But they cut back to the fucking commentators, and the commentators are like, yeah, we never thought that Black Canary could win. You know, obviously she realized that she was outgunned and that Shiva was really the true winner. And you're like, God, guys, you're so full of shit. Like, so I didn't enjoy it after the first issue or two, and then I really started to kind of get into the heavy moral questions back and forth of whether or not, like, what are you doing it for? Why do you want it? What is it worth? You know? And I actually thought it was a pretty well balanced book in the end. I don't think it's one of Tom King's best books, but I also don't think it's like a bad one. I kind of put it in his upper kind of like 75%, you know? Because I don't like the Batman books he did at all. Like, I know he was writing those in the larger universe, and he didn't have a lot of control to fuck around. And this book doesn't feel like it's really gonna change the DC universe that much. Like, and I think that's the thing, is that when he's given a quiet corner to tell a story, he tells a really good story. You know, it's when they want him, like, you know, running the course of the universe that all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to do all this shit, but we're going to tie your hands behind your back. Whereas this one, he's allowed to do his thing, and he tells a small story, and it's really well done. I enjoyed it. So I would advise people, if you want to read a decent book with a lot of fighting that wrestles with heavy questions, Black Canary Best of the Best is worth it. Thoughts, feelings?
I mean, having not read it, it sounds good. You know, I know you have talked before about Tom King being hit or miss. So
yeah, and the thing is, you know,
the
for the
fact that you
longest
kept
time,
reading it is a good sign, right? I mean, whatever
for
it
the
was,
longest time,
you kept
he
reading
wasn't
it.
miss. For the longest time, he was in an infallible track record for me. And it wasn't until I sat down and started reading his Batman books that I was like, oh man, no, I'm good.
Okay,
like, I
but
gave up.
Let's examine this. Is there any writer you can think of who's never had a miss?
Who's never had a miss? Oh,
I don't even think Alan Moore can claim that.
No. I'm trying to think. Is there a comic book writer who's never had a miss?
That's what I'm saying. So I can't. That doesn't mean anything to me, because I figure the longer that things go on, eventually you're going to misfire.
You know what?
Yeah. And you can't say Warren Johnson. He had one that you thought was okay. So
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. What's his full name? Is it Alan Warren Johnson?
I want to say it's, I don't know.
Hold on. Murder Falcon.
It's three names, but I can't ever remember.
Yeah, hold on. Murder Falcon.
The Murder Falcon guy. I mean, if we say that, we know it.
Daniel Warren Johnson, that's what it is. So Daniel Warren Johnson. I haven't read his Transformer books. Right? So I don't know how good those are. But I have, by and large, enjoyed most of what he's written. That I have read.
How many things has he written?
Oh, man, let's see.
How many books has he written?
He did Wonder Woman.
Because the other thing is, you got to do more than, let's say, 10 books before I can really say you're...
Well, and then I don't... And you know what? Maybe he hasn't hit that. Because Beta Ray Bill, Argent Star is really good. He did Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. He did Murder Falcon. He did Do a Powerbomb. He did Extremity. He did... Oh, you know what? Jurassic League was a bit weak. It was very much a children's book, I think. But The Moon is Following Us is really good. We had that screw up with the book that only half of it was actually published and the other half is online, right?
Yeah.
And my biggest issue was that it was incomplete. And then once I read the rest of it, I was like, oh, you know, this is really good. So, did he do holy shit, did he do a Darth Vader book? No, he did a short story, I think, in one of the Darth Vader collections. Oh shit, I want to see that. What the hell does his Darth Vader look like? So no, you're right. I don't think he's done quite enough to say, you know, he's infallible, but I do like most of what he's written. And to be fair, I like most of what Tom King has done. This is that the more hands-free Tom King is, where he's just kind of doing his own story, the better he is. The more the publisher steps in and goes, don't fuck this up, the more he's like, okay, I can't, Oh, man. Holy shit. Daniel Warden Johnson's Darth Vader is fucking hilarious. Hold on, I'm going to send you this image because it's too good. Oh, man. That's so much fun. He's got like a psychopath Darth Vader. Now I want to read this. Son of a bitch. And you know what? I found that I have a lot less interest in Darth Vader these days because I'm just like, whatever. But like, I do like it when somebody has a good angle on him and makes him scary, because he should be like. But I think that's a really great shot of Darth Vader blowing his way through the.
He has a bit of a duck helmet going on, but I like the fact that he's killing people.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so I may have to find this book and read it. So anyway, Tom King's Batman run didn't do it for me. But you know what? Actually, this is kind of curious. I should find this Darth Vader book and see how it is, because I think it's just a short story. But see, like, how does he handle a character that he has to maneuver with kid gloves? Because you can't do whatever you want with Darth Vader. Like, there are rules to handling the character. So it'd be interesting to see how he does this. I am going to read this. Yes, I am. Okay. But getting back to the review, I thought Black Canary was good. Not his best, but I thought it was very good. And different, because, you don't really get a lot of stories. Black Canary very often gets... I didn't know that she was as good a fighter as she was, because very often she gets sidelined as Green Arrow's girlfriend. Which isn't fair,
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so I thought it was neat that they, that they got to tell her story, and I'm still... Tom King hasn't lost my faith yet. I know now what to avoid with him. But I still appreciate, especially if I find out he's doing something small scale, I'm like right on board with that. So, yeah, I think it's worth it. And that's it.
Okay.
Have you read anything interesting, or are you Oh, no, you know what?
What?
We were trying to keep this a little tight tonight, right?
Well, no. Well, okay, but where are we at? Let's see. Yeah,
right.
36 minutes.
So,
have I read anything? No, I'm rereading the Books of Blood right now, so I've talked about that before. So have I read anything else? I don't think so.
Well, you would know.
Why do I feel like I'm... Hold on. No, I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Oh my god.
No,
did he do it?
We haven't played Divinity long enough to talk about.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we should talk about Divinity, because I did have a moment.
Can, but it's
no, I know we just. But I had a funny moment with that game. So, Joe and I took a break from. What the hell else were we playing before? Jesus, we were playing something else before. And we walked away.
Sniper. Well, we finished.
Yeah. But Joe realized that we had actually walked away from Divinity, which is the game that the Baldur's Gate people made before they made Baldur's Gate 3. And we walked away because I think we went to go play Baldur's Gate. And we had it, and they just put up a really good PS5 edit out, right? So we figured, fuck it, let's go back and check it out.
Yes, they did it. They did a PS5. They had done. They've done a couple of remasters or whatever you want to call them, and so it was that. Yeah, that's why we did it.
So I had to say, at first, I was kind of put off by the. I was not as impressed with the story so far, and I wasn't as impressed with the gameplay. Like, I was actually somewhat underwhelmed, right, when we first started playing. But the second combat kicked in, and the second we got back to doing asymmetrical fucked up shit to, like, thwart the game, I suddenly started having a really good time again. And I actually really enjoy I don't know if I enjoy it more than Baldur's Gate, but I still really enjoy this combat system and the way that it totally rewards creative, left field thinking, where it's like, do something that the game never counted on somebody doing, and it's like, yeah, that's hilarious. It's like, and the thing is, the stuff that I remember from playing Baldur's Gate was that, I was fucking pushing people half the time. We pushed a guy who could fly into a void because the game, I just didn't count on someone being like, push him off the edge. And he died. And that was it. And we're like, oh shit, I didn't think that was going to work. And it's stuff like that. And I feel like Divinity has that. So I think that once we started getting into fights in this game and like getting into the world and having more combat, I think that's the thing that I adored about Baldur's Gate 3, and it is in Divinity, and I adore it. So I'm actually having a far better time than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, because we actually were going to play this game and started it. And then I think there was a new Sniper Elite, and then Baldur's Gate came out. So there were, we kind of left it behind. But honestly, I think, I wonder if we would have had the same time playing it before we played Baldur's Gate 3. Because I think Baldur's Gate 3 it trained us on the system. Just do weird stuff.
Oh, and
we didn't have the PS5 update. There were other reasons, but
and we had to learn to do that too, because it didn't come naturally to us because we're so used to games being like, no, you can't do that. Yeah.
No, and one of the things I like about the game is that the attitude from the developers appears to be, from everything I've read and from what people have said, is because some games you sort of exploit things, and then the developers will say, well, that's not really how we want you to play the game, whereas from what I understand, the devs of this are like, if the game lets you do it, it's not exploiting. If we didn't say you can't do it, then you can do it. Therefore, whatever.
Have at it, yeah.
And there is kind of a... Boy, I've said kind of a lot of this. There is a sort of checks and balances to a degree, because one of the things I haven't figured out yet, but I have a suspicion about is, if I pick somebody up and drop them into a chasm, because in Baldur's Gate, when you did that, it would work, but anything they had on them, you didn't get.
You would lose,
because you dropped them into a void.
Yeah.
So, my hunch is that Divinity's the same way, where it's going to say, okay, if you want to just kick this person off the edge of a cliff into a bottomless tunnel to nothingness and oblivion, you can, but if they have the magic sword of Excaliburness that you always wanted, it's going into the void too.
It's going in the drink. Yeah, no, I get it.
It's gone as well. And I'm fine with that. That is a nice way to basically allow people to play a game how they want and still acknowledge that, okay, these are the systems that are in place. So if the system is this, you're going to have to reckon with that. You're going to have to be okay with losing that piece of gear because you chose to do X.
Do it your way,
but, there's also a very good chance that somewhere else in the game there will be a piece of gear as good as that, and if this means that you don't wipe on a fight, maybe go ahead and do that. So I feel like it's a nice balance to it. But I like the fact that you could... One of the things I read was somebody said, well, just keep an empty box with you, and then when you get to a fight, and if the person's tough, fill it with a bunch of rocks and drop it on their head, and they'll just die. And that's fucking great, because I'm the kind of person who wants to teleport to a high ground and drop a box on somebody. I grew up watching fucking Wile E. Coyote shit. So, yeah. I want to do the Acme deaths to large, high-level creatures.
Yeah, do we need to find anvils?
Why not? I think there are anvils. I'm pretty sure we've come across one. I just don't think I have enough strength to carry it around.
Yeah, well, there's that, yeah. You have to hope that...
But that's a good tip. Next time I find one, I'll flag it. That's the other thing. I like the fact that you can drop flags everywhere and label them. Which is, there are other games that do that, but in a game like this, it becomes far more important than a game where the rules are more defined. Because if a game only has so many systems, what's the point of me dropping because there was a chest that we couldn't get to. I put a flag on it, and then once I'd upped the skill enough, we went back, I teleported over, and we opened it. Other games have marker systems as well, but they don't allow you to do that type of
one at a
rule
time.
Bending.
Yeah.
Or there just won't be a way to get to that chest until you hit, let's say, level 30. And then you'll have access to it. Whereas in this, if you find the right gloves and you have one point in the right thing and you have enough range, you can just either teleport yourself over to it or you can just bring the box to you. That's great. Like we were throwing lava monsters into water and they didn't like it.
They didn't.
That's fun.
No, that's what I mean. That's why I find it. The story is okay. Stuff's going on. I get it, and I'm fine with that. But it's in the combat that I'm really, I'm really enjoying the weird shit that gets on. So.
Yeah, I mean, the story. I'm keeping bare track of it, but I really don't care. I didn't care much about the Baldur's Gate one either, to be honest.
No, but there were characters there were characters that you wanted to keep alive if you could.
Yeah, I mean, I was more than anything. I was just sad that Orin died because I liked her.
Oh, she thought she was fun. Yeah.
No, she's great. The Blood Lady. Oh, I like the Blood Lady.
So, well, there you go.
Funky knife.
Well, that's our early take on Divinity. What's funny is that Divinity is ported to the iPad. You can play that whole thing on an iPad now, which feels like there's a lot going on. But I guess it's a turn-based combat system, so I guess it would work.
Yeah.
So,
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not much of anything I've played. The only games I've ever played on the iPad were very simple ones that were essentially Where's Waldo types. That's really it. It's really it. I don't do mobile gaming of any type that isn't almost text-based.
Yeah.
Like crosswords. I do crosswords every day. That's it on my phone. It's the only game on my phone is crossword. That's it. I do the New York Times crosswords every day. Partially because I like crosswords, because I think they make me smarter. And supposedly, it will help defeat the one thing that's probably coming down like the boulder in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is dementia, which is all over my family. So it might stop me from going crazy a couple of years earlier. That's it. Other than that, and I think it's fun because it is, although, as a small aside about crosswords, Jesus Christ, some of the clues are so stupid. Some of the ways these people bend a clue to make sense. That no normal individual could ever figure it out. And honestly, I wouldn't either, except I have two letters and my brain is wired like a gerbil with its head up its ass. I don't like.
My wife does crossword puzzles. I totally understand the importance of them. I'm not a huge fan of them. For me, it's just not something I like to do. And I kept wondering if I should do them, but I kind of feel like writing is my crossword puzzle because I have to figure out a story and remember all the names and remember this and remember that.
My wife doesn't like crosswords. She likes Sudoku, however you're supposed to pronounce it. I hate that game.
I don't like
Sudoku
my God, do
I
either.
Fucking hate that game because it's math, and I'm not a math person.
Yeah, well, you and I, neither of us are really math people, so.
I'm not good at the maths, as the British would oddly say.
It's not odd.
I'm never going to understand
just
maths.
How they say it.
That's fine. It's fine.
Different because their responses. There's different kinds of math. That's why.
Which is where I fall back to mathematics. But yeah, a lot of stuff I don't care about, like saying hospital as opposed to the hospital. Sure, who cares? I'm in hospital. I'm in the hospital. Does it really change the nature of it to anybody? No, it's still a singular. But maths is just so I think part of it is just that it sounds wrong. It doesn't sound correct in the mouth.
I know, but to them,
math
you sound wrong.
Well, I sound wrong to everybody. That was the whole opening of the show.
They don't understand why it's herbs and not herbs.
Well, in schedule, like stuff like that, the argument for it makes sense. And again, it doesn't sound incorrect to say it the other way. I still say mozzarella, and people don't know what that means because I'm pronouncing it differently. I literally went to get there's an Italian supermarket. Thank Christ, just a short walk away from us. And I went in there, and one day there was somebody new working at the cheese counter, and we make pizza. I get smoked mozzarella, and I said, "Can I have 10 slices of smoked mozzarella?" And she said, "What?" I said, "Oh, sorry. Can I have 10 slices of the smoked mozzarella?" I had to,
mozzarella.
Reboot what I was saying. Yeah. Yeah.
What do they call
That's
that?
the eye poppy of saying mozzarella.
The eye poppy of cheese.
It's the
what
eye
was that?
poppy
What'd you
of
say?
cheese.
I want the eye poppy of cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
What do they call that?
That's how it sounds to me.
It's coding, right? That's what it is when you have to listen to how people are talking.
Code switch.
Code switching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I love that. Mozzarella is your okay.
That there are other words too, but that's the one that most people hear. Because I don't say isn't, I say idn't. IDN''T. It's what I'm saying. Unless I'm in some kind of formal setting where I'm changing myself into high articulation and alliteration mode, where I'm talking like Suits, which I do occasionally have to do. And then I talk like the whitest guy on the planet.
I like highfalutin fantasy language. I when I was younger,
Sure.
I loved it. I loved the way that they talk in fantasy books. Not like hark, that kind of shit, but like, everybody is just like somewhat, I don't know, somewhat bastardly British, I guess. I don't know. Actually, it's funny?
Yeah.
So I saw there's a lot of weird fan films out that are people doing now of like of Star Wars and things like that. And there was a fan film that I saw part of that was called like Last Stand at Hoth. Is it Last Stand at Hoth? And I don't know how much of this is. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Last Stand at Hoth. And I looked at it because I liked. They did a. What are the big Yeti looking monsters that almost ate Luke?
The Wampa? Wampa?
The Wampa, yeah. They have a Wampa eating a stormtrooper. And it's like a 14-minute short film. It's very well done. I mean, honestly, I probably enjoyed it more than. You know what? I watched it, and I haven't watched the third sequel or the what do you call it? What was the last one called?
Oh, Rise of the Jedi, Revenge.
Whatever.
Force. Whatever.
But I really enjoyed it. But at one point, there was a character who was on the rebel side, and they spoke with like a cadence that sounded very not Star Wars for some reason, and I was like, oh, it stands out to me, and I'm like, oh, why does that bother me? And I'm like, oh, it's because you're used to this kind of like the Star Wars cadence. There's a certain
bada bing, bada boom. It's Hans Frick. What the fuck, man? I ain't seen you in a parsec.
Yeah,
what you been doing?
Han fucking Solo. Yeah.
How you doing? You kill any stormtroopers lately? Bada bing, bada boom, motherfucker.
You know what? Listen. So, I gotta tell you this because you will enjoy it. In the story that I'm writing, I have a lot of like weird weapons, and I brought that idea of the weapon that talks to you, and I was telling my son about it, and he's like, "Where'd you get that idea?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's from Borderlands. We had a gun that would insult you." I was like, and Joe and I used it, like, we didn't want to get rid of it because it was so amusing, and he was like, hey, just say things. I'm like, yeah, it was great. And my son was like, wouldn't that be funny to have a sword? And I thought of a sword that sounded like an old Jewish grandmother who was like cold all the time. But my son immediately went to this like, hey, I'm cutting here. And we were just laughing our asses off at the idea of this like Brooklyn accented sword just, insulting people and talking shit to the cosmos. Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah.
A Rosie Perez sword would be something. I often say...
God. Wouldn't that be?
Right? Come
Jesus.
On. That would be.
Split your ears.
One of the funniest
split
gags
your ears.
In any film that I still think is one of my top funny things is in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where he pulls the sword out and it starts singing. It's the Frank Sinatra sword.
Oh, the singing sword,
the singing sword. I still, in that bit, I think that is one of the funniest things any movie has ever done. It is still one of my favorite gags. And it's got the little bow tie, and it's wicked wits. It's just the funniest shit to me. The idea of the singing sword. And that a sword that just sang 30s music to you as you cut people up, that seems like a gag to me. That'd be great. Like, it doesn't do the bendy thing like it does in the movie. It's a regular sword.
Yeah.
But every time you cut somebody up, it's like, hey, that a kick in the head. Every time you cut somebody's head off type of shit. Like, it would sing to you to celebrate what you're doing. That's funny to me. That would be the joke. Like, that everybody else gets the badass sword that says, that's right, now we will bathe in the blood of your enemies. And the one guy gets the sword that just sings standards, like Americana standards to him. It's like, Jesus Christ! I got the Love Anthem sword. Fuck me.
Or you get like that cutesy Tachikoma sword that's just like, hey, we killed somebody. Yeah.
Oh sure. Yeah.
I love that stuff. I love that weird
that's
shit.
Great.
You know what? I'll say this for Borderlands. I don't think it was I strongly believe it's not the best gameplay out there. But every now and then they would do some weird shit, and you'd be like, okay, that's really funny. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, that was. I mean, it had good ideas. It's just it got boring. That's all.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, we're at an hour. Movie time.
So we're gonna go into it. I can go for it.
Well, I mean, unless you have something else.
No. I got nothing else. Go hit it.
All right.
Boom, 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 boom.
That is, I have to admit, that's one of my better ones. I do like that one quite a bit. The ending makes it. Really does.
Yes,
now,
it works very well for what we've been watching.
Yeah, it does. It does. Technically, we did finish out Milo March with The Fifth Element. I don't have much to say about it because it's a perfect film. So
I would tell people it's worth listening to the commentary to hear two people who absolutely know a movie way too well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because you and I are like finishing lines and know when like musical cues are coming in and all this shit. Yeah, it's hilarious. Still a very fun movie. Both of us can still be very sober about the fact that it has if you read into the plot, there will be problems. But if you accept the fact that it's a beautiful looking movie with lots of style and personality, it's still fantastic. So, yeah, that's about it.
Right, there's not much to say. It's a wildly fun movie. So as far as a rating for the film, 10 out of 10 on the fun meter. Mila looks amazing. Of course she does. She's in the movie. So that's an easy one. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Oh, I think that this might be peak Mila in this movie. I think that look is so iconic. Of all the Mila roles, that is the one that shows up in Comic-Con consistently.
You are correct about that. I don't know if this is my favorite version of her. I might like her in Resident Evil in the red dress more.
Oh, okay. No, I'm gonna go with the fifth
or in the Extinction suit, which is not Extinction, the Redemption, whatever the suit was, where she's got that leather suit top to bottom.
Oh, the vinyl bodysuit.
Yeah, the vinyl suit looks very good too. Especially when the ponytail clone shows up with the sword, that might be the best.
Oh
look.
well, yeah. I'm a sucker for ponytails. I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
A weird thing.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I didn't realize I was a sucker for tight ponytails, but that's something that's crept up over the years.
Oh, I've known that about myself for a long time. I don't give a fuck about pigtails, but a ponytail, yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Pigtails do nothing for me. Ponytail does.
Well, there you go. But yes, so we watched Fulfillment, and it's good. It's still good. People should still see it. It's a lot of fun. Period.
It holds up very well. Yes.
But then we had to figure out what to do afterwards.
Well, ironically, this has happened a few times. which if either of us believed in any type of mystical machination universe type shit, we would say this is a sign of something, but it isn't, because there is no such thing. But if there was, you would start to believe it, because The Fifth Element, outside of its actual plot and everything else, is a very fashion-oriented film. It is very dominated by fashion decisions.
Jean-Paul Gaultier did the outfits for the movie.
That's what I'm saying. It is steered in many ways. What part of its DNA is fashion-based.
Yeah.
It's not a plot point per se, but it is in fact ingrained into the film.
No, it's a fashionable French fashion future.
Yes. So I just decided to pick something random. And I only went with the movie I went with because there's a very interesting piece of poster art for it that I always liked and I had seen. And I don't even know how I came across this movie because I never heard of it, which is sort of weird because it's right dead center of my genre of films, which is Italian giallo from the mid-'80s. So, but it's got this amazing poster.
Didn't you say this was the 22nd most, successful movie made in Italy or something like that?
Yeah, for that year, yeah. I think it beat Ghostbusters or something. It's crazy, whatever it was. But anyway, there's a poster that really doesn't appear to be. I don't think it's actually any of the actors in the movie. Or if it is, they don't look anything like they do in the movie. But it's a striking poster because it's a woman wearing basically just a piece of fabric over herself and this giant 80s hair, which is always kind of an automatic eye grab for me. And then a pair of scissors. So I went, okay, I don't know what else we're going to watch. And at that point, I only thought we were going to watch one more movie. Because again, we were running into the storage problem. So like, all right, if we have 3 movies, we're going to go on forever. But then with The Fifth Element, I'm like, well, we're not going to probably talk that much about that for very long because what's there for us to, again, kind of my earlier point about what are we going to say about it besides, hey, it holds up. We knew that, but let's reiterate. So what we watched was a movie from 1985 titled Nothing Underneath, or in Italian, which does come up, Sotto il vestito niente, which basically literally means underneath the clothing is nothing, which is nothing underneath. So it's a rare case where the Italian title is the American title.
I didn't like the title at first, and I have had some time to think about it, and now I do like the title, and I realize why. Which, you know what? I'll wait till we get into it, and then I'll explain it, because it has to do with the fate of the sister in this movie. So, go on.
Oh, sure, okay. So, it is, again, knowing nothing about it, went into it with no idea what it really was about, and it starts off in a kind of odd way, because it starts off in Wyoming with a male lead who is a park ranger, and everybody in the town is making a big deal about the fact that they have Italian Vogue, because there's somebody in it. And you, at one point, because when I was listening to commentary, I always kind of make sure it syncs up as it goes along for a little bit, you said, is he on the cover? Because we couldn't even tell what was going on at first. It wasn't very clear. And what you come to find out, because we're kind of warping back and forth very, very suddenly between Wyoming and Milan. We're bouncing back and forth for a while in the beginning. And you see this woman who has very short hair, and she's the cover model, and they're doing photo shoots. And then she goes home, and then this guy in Wyoming is getting psychic flashes of a black-gloved killer advancing towards her with scissors.
Well, and hold on. We already know they have a connection because she almost gets raped in a fucking disco bathroom. And
yeah. So yes,
but we don't know.
We don't know what it is.
No, we don't know what it is. There going,
they
have a connection.
Is it romantic or is it siblings?
Yeah,
because that's generally what you have is. Or at one point I said, well, maybe he's actually seeing the killer's mind for some reason. We'll find out that the killer and him knew each other, because that's been done, where somebody has an encounter with somebody that's a killer and gets like blood transfusion, and then they have their psychic thing, or what body parts where the guy gets the grafted on hand and he starts killing people because the killer is like acting through him. Yeah, so you don't know for a little bit what's happening. And then there's a point, because the guy gets this flash of this killer advancing on her. Yeah, there's the rape thing and his arm gets bent back. And that's your first indicator that he can sense something. And even in that, you'll hear me say, if you hear the commentary 3 years from now, I say, if you remember me saying this 3 years from now. Yeah, 3 years, 2029. I say, well, okay, but is he seeing the killer or her? Because the arm moves, but is that because he's making the motion or what? It's unclear for a little bit. And then there's a point where he tells his park ranger buddy to call over to Italy, and he gets on the thing and he says, she's my sister.
Yeah, and then we know
and
for
they're
sure
like, okay,
that,
sibling. Got it. Twin sister.
Yeah.
Right. Twin sisters, but what's the fraternal twins as opposed to identical twins. Right. So basically, nobody can get a hold of her. Nobody knows where she is. And there doesn't appear to be anything wrong, but he knows what he saw what he saw. So he flies over to Milan and goes to a hotel that is packed full of gorgeous women. I mean, it is a joke after a while where I keep going,
it's
model.
It's the hotel where all the models stay. So there's just like and I gotta say, this movie, up front, I give the director credit in that obviously he really wanted to be sleazy. He really wanted to I mean, he really wanted to get the nudity in there. But he seems restrained, even though every now and then he kind of, and I think what it is, every now and then he goes over the top, and you're like, whoa! And then he cuts away because it's like he remembers. He's like, oh wait a minute, I can't be that gratuitous. So he backs off of it, and then he's reserved through the rest of the movie. And then every now and then there's a punctuation where you're like, haha, woman masturbating, and you're like, whoa, and then you're like, okay, now we're gonna get it back under control. Because with the
woman doing herself was the most genuinely shocking moment of the whole film. Because it comes out of nowhere.
But the amount of gorgeous women in this movie is pretty astronomical. I mean, this movie is it's a loaded deck of just beautiful women.
Yeah, and again, for a little while, you're not really sure that it's a model hotel. But that's what we guessed because, I kept saying, model, Jesus Christ, gorgeous woman, model. And then at a certain point, he's told, oh, yeah, everybody in this hotel except for the desk guy, who is this very overweight pervo. Yeah, and the blonde guy. But that's what I'm saying. Everybody in the hotel, if this guy wasn't there, except for the front desk person, are models. And so, but that's the thing, is just in the background, you'll just see beautiful women just hanging around and just walking in and out, just randomly. And so he gets there. And he's convinced that his sister has been killed, even though, and this is important, we never see him seeing her get killed.
No, just
so for a while, you just see the advancement, and then she's missing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even sure she was dead for a while. And there's things where there's in fact something late that makes you think, oh no, she's not. So he's going along, and he he gets an inspector involved. Played by Donald Pleasance. Pleasance.
I did not realize at first that it was Donald Pleasance, which is why the accent totally was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, because you thought he might be Italian, because I'm like, oh my God, this accent. You're like, well,
but then
when it's Donald Pleasance.
When you pointed it out to me, I was like, oh no, he's putting that on. And you know what's terrible?
Yes.
The Italian edition of the movie is going to get dubbed. So he did that just for the American audience.
Oh boy, did he. And The standout thing of this movie that is the most bizarre of all is the Wendy's discussion scene, which is so odd in that it is. I'm not saying it's Wendy's because we just recognize the layout. No,
they went to Wendy's.
No, it's everywhere. It's very clearly Wendy's Milan, if that's in fact where they were. I don't know where they actually were. They were like, oh, no, come on in. You can show the logo. Don't worry about it. In fact, we want you to show off our salad bar and how wonderfully overpacked it is.
Yeah.
Because the salad bar has enough lettuce to feed a small European army just by itself. And it is so weird because it's hard to even focus on their discussion because they're
he's eating spaghettis at Wendy's in Milan, Italy.
Wendy's, in theory...
Yeah.
As somebody who is Italian, or at least lives there. And you're sitting there going, of all the things that somebody living in this country would eat at Wendy's, it wouldn't be pasta. It would maybe be a cheap shit burger because you don't find that just being made in the nicer Italian joints. But if you just want spaghetti, it's so
why would you
rationale.
Go there? Yeah.
Well, okay, there's one logic to it that I can work out. And this is me completely trying to piece this together in my head where it just doesn't work, where it has to make sense. I'm not a fan of Mexican food. I don't like it. The real stuff. The actual authentic Mexican food is not my thing. I don't like hot food. I don't like spicy food. I don't like meat generally anymore. That isn't a hamburger, so that's it. But I barely even eat that anymore. Salsa is just wet nothingness. It's all just very, very tasteless to me. Okay. I just don't like it. I don't like the gravy, nothing. I'm not, like, my wife loves it. So in California, you can trip and fall and hit 14 authentic Mexican restaurants before you hit the pavement.
There's a lot of it, yeah.
Right? I don't like any of them. The ones we've got to. I literally just eat a dry cheese enchilada because you can't fuck up a flour tortilla and cheese. Just melt that shit and hand it to me.
Sound like my son.
I'm just saying. But there was a place that was here for a while called Rubio's, and it was basically, they called it coastal California Mexican cuisine. It's white people Mexican.
It was Tex-Mex.
I loved it. No, it wasn't even Tex-Mex. It was just fast food Mexican, but not as shitty as Taco Bell. It was a little, they actually used real ingredients. So figure Taco Bell, but almost kind of like Chipotle. You know how Chipotle operates?
Yeah.
So they're a step above Taco Bell, where I don't want to shit fire for the next 7 hours after I eat this. Okay? So you go to Chipotle and you eat something that is a better version of ingredients, but by no means is authentic Mexican food at all. That's the only thing I can factor in, is that the Donald Pleasance character, if he was an expatriate, if he's an ex-American living in Italy and liked shitty spaghetti, yes, you would go to Wendy's and get spaghetti.
You know what?
It's the only explanation that makes sense.
You're giving the spaghetti scene a lot of rationale.
I have to, because it's just so
this
weirdly out of place.
Believe it or not, this is a movie about a murder.
But you would agree that this is the most bizarre thing in the whole movie.
No, it's weird. Yeah, when he's eating spaghetti and you're just like, what? But you're in Italy and a Wendy's? Like, yeah, it's like no. And this is an Italian production too. This isn't even like, an American company that came in. This is an Italian making an Italian movie.
And the thing is, they don't ever explain it. They're just there. So it's not like the brother says, you know what? I know this is terrible to say in Italy, but I really don't like Italian food. Can we just go to a fast food joint? And then you cut to Wendy's. And Donald Pleasance is looking at the food going, wow, you Americans eat this shit?
Maybe they just got money from Wendy's for the production.
I'm sure that's what it actually was. But what I'm saying is, it's so jarring in this film that otherwise is very, very Italian and is full of good location shooting and beautiful people. And then you go to a Wendy's where Donald Pleasance eats spaghetti.
I actually really liked this movie. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. I was actually impressed by a lot of the decisions that were made because I didn't expect. You know what? I didn't know who the killer was. Which a lot of times when I watch this stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, it's this person or it's that person. Like, I tend to know. I didn't know. And even when I thought, like, sometimes you try to meta figure out who the killer is based on, like, who's alive, who the actors are, right?
Yes.
Even when I kind of figured out who it was, I had no idea why.
And this particular element is going to be the key differentiator between this movie and the next one, is once you know who the killer is and the reasoning. That's the biggest separator. Because, and you may disagree on this, I think that the next movie we're going to talk about is a better movie visually than this one. It's got more interesting artistic decisions in the visuals.
You think Delirium is
Delirium, I think, is a better filmed movie in terms of how it uses color and how it uses shots. However, narratively, it is worse. I think the narrative is worse.
I'll give you this. Delirium is visually a more interesting film, but I think it is not as good in any way as Nothing Underneath. Nothing Underneath is a stand-up movie to me. The only weird part of this movie is the whole psychic thing. That if you have an issue with that, then okay, then you're not gonna be able to get into this movie. But overall, you have a brother who's come to find out, what's happened to his sister. He shows up. He goes looking to figure out what the hell's going on. You have a lot of red herrings along the way. And the story evolves. I mean, for a longest while there. So the only time you spend with the sister is basically like at a few photo shoots. And then when she almost gets raped
flashbacks.
by this... Yeah.
Oh,
when she almost gets raped by this asshole in the bathroom. Well, that asshole...
Yeah, we get a very little of the present with her, and then she basically vanishes until we get told about things she's done in the past. Otherwise, you don't see her until the very end. You don't really see
her, yeah. So there are a lot of different subplots that come up, and one thing that you think is going to be, kind of what it is, ends up being something else entirely. And you're like, holy shit. And it still affects the larger story.
Let's talk about the meat of it, because a lot of it is the brother trying to figure it out, and we're getting thrown different things and introducing different characters so that we don't really know who the killer is. As you said, it does it very well. So then there's two critical things. It's really one, and then the ending. So we get there's a point where the scumbag rapist guy gets arrested and is questioned, and he basically says, because you see these women have diamonds. Certain women have diamonds, and we couldn't figure out why. They're just there.
Yeah. And then we find out you think they're being killed for the diamonds, and you think, oh, is this part of some kind of larger diamond scheme? Like, what's going on?
Because you see the killer take the diamonds, so you're unclear what's happening. Because you see that, but you don't know what it means yet. So is he just robbing them randomly, or is it a plot point? Because you're not really sure how... For all we knew, up to a point, all the models had diamonds. We didn't know why there were diamonds. Really, as far as we were informed, we didn't know if maybe these women were getting paid in diamonds, and it was a robbery thing. It could have been that. But then this guy is arrested, and they question him, and he explains that he had paid off, that he had 4 models come to his house, the sister being one of them. So there's 4 models.
And there were 2 regulars who knew him.
2 regulars, and then two of the new girls. One of which is the psychic sister. They go there, and the psychic sister and the other one don't want to have a 4-way with this guy, who's a dirtbag. And so he's like, fine, well, I'm coked up, so let's go ahead and play Russian roulette.
Well,
and I'll pay you each $10,000.
By the way, this was a great moment in the movie, because Joe was like, what is he doing? Why would he do that? What's wrong with him?
Yes.
And I'm like, dude,
I can't wrap, I think for me, the thing that I couldn't wrap my head around is if you were all about just having sex, 2 of the women were into it. Tell the other 2 to beat feet and do your business.
He's a massive narcissist on coke. I'm like, yeah,
right.
I've
never done coke, so I don't know.
Oh, neither have I. But I've been around people on drugs, and they can be pretty fucking stupid. And it turns into this whole, it's a power game. It's will you play Russian roulette with me? I have all this money, and I'm going to make you play because I have the money. I mean, that's kind of what it breaks down to. And that's what happens.
Right. So they're pulling the trigger, blah, 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 and one girl pulls the trigger and blows her brains out. And so they dump the body.
And all of a sudden they're like, shit, and then, what do we do now?
yeah. Literally, he goes from being all into it to, I didn't anticipate this possibility. Okay. And so he basically pays all these women off with diamonds, and they dump the body. And so this is why there were diamonds. Doesn't explain why the killer is killing them, but now we know why the diamonds are there. Yeah. So now we have an explanation, right? And so eventually, the brother then gets a telegram from his sister. He's told it's from your sister, because that's what it says. It's me. Telegram, I'm in hiding. Go home. You can't help me. So he goes to the telegram office, the telegraph office.
He finds the office that it was sent from.
Yes, and he looks at the handwriting, and it matches his sister's, which authenticates that she sent it. And then he asks the girl behind the counter. He shows the woman a picture of his sister and says, "Is this who sent it?" And she says, "Yes."
Yeah.
So now he's convinced that she's alive and in hiding, but he won't leave. So he goes to find her, and he tracks down where.
No. Here's the thing. He gets. At that point, he gets despondent, and he is going to leave. he gets in the taxi to leave. He's done. He realizes he can't help her. He's actually kind of annoyed because now he knows that she basically disappeared because of this whole murder thing. And then he gets a psychic attack in the taxi that draws him to a place in the city. And the place that he gets to is locked, and then he basically breaks in through the window.
Well, before he goes in, he passes by this large sculpture. And this is important because this will be the landmark so that he can tell somebody else to find where he is. There's this very large rotating sculpture. So then he breaks in, cuts himself a little bit, manages to climb into this place.
Oh, yeah,
and finds his sister.
Tears
his arm. Yeah. Finds his sister is dead, nailed to a chair.
Yeah.
And there's all these photos of her and all this handwriting where whoever the killer is has been practicing her handwriting.
He finds a wig.
And he finds a wig, which is how the person imitated the sister, although this person looks nothing like his sister. But I guess if you're not paying attention, whatever, short hair, white woman, who cares?
She was pretty and she had short hair.
It's fine.
Yeah.
The woman had very thick glasses on, and maybe that was the inference. Her eyesight isn't great, and if you're not paying attention, you don't care because your hamster is having a problem, you don't care. So he hears a noise and he hides, and into the room comes this woman who is a model at the hotel.
Yeah, and we have to explain.
At one point, at one point, they seem to be getting close, and he comes into her room. She seems to invite him, so there does appear to be something.
She seems to be helping him somewhat as well. Like, she seems to be on his side.
But there's a significant scene which I completely misread. Where well, because
no.
I had a couple of theories running.
Okay. Because you watch a lot of movies like this, it made total sense why your head where it went. So go ahead, explain the scene.
So he shows up at her room, and the movie's trying to fake you out that it's the killer, and I knew right away it was not the killer. I'm like, this is not the killer, it's going to be the brother. And because you see these footsteps, and she's kind of cautiously approaching, she opens it up, and it's the brother. And the brother comes in, and there seems to be some intimacy happening.
The line was, you didn't seem like you wanted to be alone.
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah.
And so there starts to be something happening, and he basically starts to pull off her underwear, and she stops him.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know, maybe it's going to...
You only see a bit from behind, which is the MO of the director.
Right.
I absolutely love
this director was into asses,
guy.
very clear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that's what you're going to see the majority of, compared to our next film, where you're going to see everything. But in this one, that's what you're seeing most of the time is asses, which, fine. They're great asses. All of them. It's fine. So she stops him. And I immediately jump to...
Is it a guy?
Oh,
is it a guy? Is it a guy?
Is this in fact a man? Because now this is at the end. Because I'm trying to... Because it became pretty clear
we didn't know
that it could only really be... I had it down to the photographer or that woman. This Barbara is her name.
Yeah. There was a photographer who could have been, and then there was this one Barbara.
And, of course, the reason I thought photographer is because back in Obsession at Taste for Fear, it was the filmography nerd who was the actual killer.
Yeah.
So, again, to your point about watching these movies, and he was acting odd the whole movie. And at one point, you see the killer's arm, and it's a slim wrist. And my first instinct was woman's arm. But then this guy, the photographer, is very slim.
And that was the thing. Interestingly, early on, you did say, "Oh, that guy's got, he's got really thin arms, almost like women's arms."
Yes, he's very slim, and so I thought that's a good fake out, because you would think slender wrist, female, but this guy is very slim, and the thing that's interesting, and see, this is where clever filmmaking. This would be a really interesting way to get you sort of thinking about it. He's wearing these very specific gloves when he's operating the camera, which draws your eye to the hand and wrist. So you notice it. It's a very subtle thing. If you wanted to, so it's almost like, is that the idea? To subliminally make you notice his wrist so that you think it might be him.
Yeah.
Because that's some clever fucking filmmaking if it was on purpose. That's a smart way to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought those two. And so once that was kind of locked in, I'm sitting there going, okay, she stopped him before he took her underwear off, which would, of course, if she was a biological male, Crying Game style, we might have a big reveal happening.
Yeah, and that's
so. Is it going to be?
Yeah. Is it? Is it actually a man? Yeah.
Right, and that would have been an interesting angle too. That would have worked, and there are movies where that happens.
And I was like, "Is this the girl that died? Is this her brother? And you were like, "No, it's too fast to get reconstructive surgery." but you don't know.
Yeah, but I said no. There's no way this could have happened already because the time frame is you can't at this time period you cannot get that stuff done that quickly and be walking around. Let's put it that way. If you got it done, you would be hunched over. So I doing this stuff, you were not going to be bouncing around killing people and not like falling down bleeding. So, but I thought it might be that this was actually that she was modeling, but never had to take her underwear off and didn't want to be outed. And there was a whole thing. Yeah. But in fact, what it is Barb is a woman and is a lesbian, which is why she stopped him.
Is madly in love with the main guy's sister.
And they were in love with each other. So important. It appeared that it was a mutual thing.
Yes.
But then after this incident happened where the model killed herself, the sister, the psychic sister, decided that she was just going to bail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that this was the end of it for her. She was getting out of modeling. She was leaving Milan, whatever. And Barbara could not handle it. And as somebody who has been jilted in the past, I understand how that will make you crazy. Now,
yeah, and she wouldn't tell her what happened. That's the other thing, too.
Right.
She was like, yeah.
So she found out and started, she killed the sister to preserve her, and I don't even know where that would have gone. We never got to see the end result of that, but she was making house with a dead woman. Because she was talking about putting up pictures of her and wallpaper and shit.
And here's the thing, the title, right? So the title, Nothing Underneath. It means something to me, man, because the Barbara was in love with the outside of the sister. She didn't require anything underneath to keep going. She had basically a shell of the woman, just the outer aspect of her, with nothing underneath. That's all that mattered to her, and that was what she was continuing with. So, if anything, the title actually makes a lot of sense philosophically.
Yeah, I never had the title always was fine for me, but yes, you're right. It does thematically fit. But the bigger point here is that I empathized with the killer. Now, yes, she went completely off the deep end, but she had a relatable starting point, which was we were madly in love. Being a lesbian at this point, she's basically saying, hey, this isn't exactly something we could just parade around. It's not like I could just go find other women. It seems like. And so now you're just walking out on it, and me.
She was in love, but she was also, listen, she was a little bit overly obsessed, and she didn't mean to kill her. I think that's the other thing, too, is that she didn't mean to kill her. But then once she did, she was so angry with the others who she felt had caused this, that she killed the other two models, and then made sure that the douchey, rapey guy who had the coke party, he got arrested for it, and she was basically planning on making his life miserable for as long as possible. She wanted revenge on all of them, but she could not. But she was overlooking the fact that she had killed the woman that she loved, and maybe that's why she was acting like she was still alive, because she herself could not handle the idea of what she had done.
Right, and so a lot of these movies, the killer you don't necessarily totally empathize with. Some you do, some you don't. And we're going to get to the next movie in a minute, which does a terrible job of setting up the killer, really.
I didn't empathize with her, but I did understand why she was doing it. I just looked at her and said, hey, you went too fucking far.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is I understand what that pain is, and that it will break your brain a bit. Now, most people figure out how to get past it, but some people don't. And we don't really know, because this is, again, we have to kind of think about this. This is the modeling business. There's a lot of drugs and alcohol in modeling. We don't know that this other woman didn't use some type of drugs, that there wasn't something going on. There could have been a lot of things.
Yeah.
But my larger point is, this is not just somebody who's a serial killer because it's fun.
No.
This is somebody who was...
No, the whole thing's personal.
Yes. For all we know, had this event with the Russian roulette never happened, she would have been a perfectly ordinary, well-adjusted person in a relationship and been happy. For all we know. The movie does not present it, because in some of the other movies you get, there was a history of, like in Deep Red, where the killer, the parent, the mother was going to be committed to a mental institution and then killed the father, and you know what I mean. So there was already a risk of this happening
there. Yeah.
Right. It's more that this person, for all we know, would have been a very well-adjusted person had this terrible event not happened.
Yeah,
and she never knew what happened until she found out.
I know. I still think, for me, empathy is a strong word. I understand in the same way that I understand why some killers become serial killers. I understand technically why they did it. It doesn't mean that I agree and support it in any way, shape, or form. So I can understand the logic of why she became what she became, but I still think it is an extreme response, and that she is the bad guy. I mean, she nailed her dead body to a chair. That was going to start... I mean, honestly, it should have already been bloated at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, we can't apply too much logic to some of these things because, yes, of course it would.
But I
also
I
probably
really,
would have smelled really bad at that point.
But I did really like the movie because I didn't know who it was. And once I kind of knew who it was, I didn't know why. And the why makes sense.
Before we finish up, then when the cops show up to confront her, she grabs the body in the chair and she basically says, "Nope, you're not taking me alive," and throws the body and then follows it out a window.
Not only that, you're not taking me alive, and you're not taking me from her. And the two of them go out.
That's
the
what
window.
I'm saying. The two of them go out the window, and the music that they're playing is kind of melancholy music. This is what I mean about. I actually felt bad for this character. I'm not condoning the murders, but I will use the word empathize because I understand that pain can do very severe things to people. I am not a member of a minority group. So I don't know how much that compounds being jilted, right? So at a time where just being out as a lesbian could probably have gotten you stoned to death in some places, to find somebody and then suddenly be spurned for no reason that you know of at first, and you don't know why, and you don't know how to handle it, I would hope I wouldn't kill people, but can I tell you for sure, standing right here, right now, that in that situation, I wouldn't have started murdering people? I can't tell you that. Because I wasn't there and I'm not that person. So I do empathize. And then the ending is sad.
I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't. So I guess that's the
I will never say that. I don't believe my brain is standard issue enough to guarantee that. I don't know what I would do. I just will not. I would
do
never
not
rule certain
believe
things
that
out.
my brain is standard issue enough.
Nope. I don't. Yeah.
Good. Listen,
just not.
you are aware of yourself to that degree. That is a good thing.
Yeah. So, but that's right, because when she goes out the window, it's playing this kind of like sad music, and it freeze frames on her going through the window.
Yeah, it ends right there. That's it.
Yeah, and it's I actually was sad at the end of that, which I'm not always in these movies where I'm kind of like, yeah, killer's dead.
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, you are meant to be sad. I mean, when you discover what it is, it's not like it's like, oh, look what happened. She was killing him because this silly thing, or this somebody who just gets off on torturing people. No. Like, there is a genuinely sad reason for it.
She's a tragic figure.
Yes. Yeah.
And is presented that way. Who, yes, did not take the correct route to healing. There's no argument on that.
But but the party in general, I mean, her wanting to kill them for basically putting her partner in the position that then destroyed her partner psychologically. Like, I get it. It's just that you could have brought them all to justice, but you were like, no, I'm killing these people.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring the guy to justice. I'm kind of surprised she didn't kill the guy, to be honest with you.
Well, okay. Here again, maybe this is because I can put myself in this person's shoes fairly easily. I completely understand that, because to me, if I found out that there was this sexually fucking scummy rapist guy who ruined what I would surely have believed was the person I was going to spend my life with, and ruined that and a large portion of my life, I wouldn't want to kill him. I'd want him to be raped every day in jail, and that's where I'd want him to end up. I would want that guy to get fucked so hard that his ass split up to his chin. So I get it. That's why, no, you don't kill him. That's the easy way out for somebody like that. No. You make that individual suffer the very abuse that he did over and over and over and over again. Because that's what they deserve. Yeah. Because you know, just based on this one scenario, that this guy has done shit to other people and gotten away with it.
Oh,
There's no doubt. So, no, death is too easy.
And the thing is, they make sure you understand that this guy is a dirtbag. He is. Oh yeah,
the cops are like, well, we know this guy's a shitbag. We just haven't been able to get him yet. So, in a very similar way that I would imagine, and this is why they say, you can't have family members just be allowed to take revenge on abusers, because what they would torture them endlessly. You'd want to, most people. Some people are more forgiving, but not most. And it's the same thing. So no, you don't kill the person who was actually directly responsible. The ones who were collaborators, but weren't really intentionally trying to create this situation. We're not the actual source.
You give them the sweet release of death.
Yeah, exactly. Those people have to pay for their crime, but they don't suffer. The person who did it intentionally, that willed this scenario into existence, as well as has more than even probably caused damage to others, that's the focus of the suffering. That's where it has to be. So no, I completely understand and would have made the same decision. No, you live. You live to be fucking miserable and wish that the gun had gone off when you put it to your head. That's what you aim for, is to make that guy wish that the gun had gone off when he did it. That's the goal. And to realize that it didn't, and tomorrow you're going to suffer again. That's what you're doing it for. So yes, I do empathize with this character quite a bit. I understand it.
So Joe and I both enjoyed this movie. We thought it was very well done.
Immensely. Yeah. No, it was very well done.
And we were surprised.
Your point was the best one, that both of us weren't sure who the killer was. That is the mark of a well-made movie of this type.
Without kind of like...
Sorry.
No, without... Also, I'm going to add to that, without bullshit tactics. Because there's movies that do this. That use
that's... Yeah. And that's where that's where my comparison point's going to be.
Yeah.
But yes, it's... And I'd never heard of this, which is surprising, because I think it is a very good example, and I said this, I think, in my short review, and I think I said this to you at one point. I said, this is a really good mix of sleaze and giallo, because that balance is tricky. There's a lot of skin shown. Like, you are going to see some nudity, including the scumbag's ass and a bit of balls.
So, extra. Yeah, no, he is, Yeah, no,
he's flying free. Good for him.
He's on display.
He's on display. So there's plenty for everybody, to a degree. But to then balance that with an actual effective mystery where the mystery is maintained right up to the end, where we really weren't sure who was going to walk in, or at least I wasn't really sure who was going to walk in.
And you don't know, and the why of it as well, because that's the thing, is you're not sure what the why is. Yeah.
And that also, the way this movie does it, is also very tricky to do, because it's explained in maybe 2 minutes, maybe, where she recounts the whole thing as she's talking to the dead body. Now that, we get a very short explanation at the end of our next film too, but it's not nearly as effective because it wasn't set up properly. Whereas this woman, because we saw the modeling world, we saw the backstory with the guy when he's being interviewed, the pieces are all put in place so that when the woman explains to the dead person, and of course the audience, why she did it, we have all the proper stuff in the background to say, okay, got it. We know what this is. We were just missing the identity, but everything, and of course the love story. But now this all adds up. All these things make sense. It's a satisfying explanation. The motivation makes sense. The character is sympathetic to a degree. And so when the movie resolves, it feels like a satisfying mystery, not only in how it was maintained without a bunch of bullshit tactics, but with an explanation that is satisfying. That's the tricky part to do in a movie like this. And bonus, lots of nudity. So again, that's the thing that a lot of these movies don't do properly, is they kind of fall on one side or the other. Yeah, bonus, nudity. But also, the nudity makes sense. It's modeling.
Yeah, imagine
there is a lot of nudity in modeling.
Imagine if you had a porno that actually had a really good plot.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that was a really good movie. Right. And the sex was entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, yes, this was a really nice surprise because I didn't know anything about it. And normally...
I certainly didn't know anything
I've at least heard of these movies. I understand why you wouldn't necessarily, but I've normally heard of movies that are well made of this type. The Junkers, maybe not, but something like this, I'm kind of surprised I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Because it's good. It's a movie I would actually recommend to really anybody who's into like a murder mystery type of movie. It's well done. And especially if you like Giallo movies. If you like this kind of 80s stuff, you'll like it.
I even thought that my wife might actually find this enjoyable because the mystery is
Me too.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll probably watch it.
You did a good enough job on the mystery. And also, like, this is the other thing. When I say that the director was, like, kind of reserved, there are times in this movie where you could have absolutely had some kind of absurd sex scene, right? Tons of nudity. And the director doesn't do it. He passes up on it. And you're kind of like, wow. I was like, you didn't? Like, the fact that it's a lesbian murderer and there wasn't, like, lesbianism through the whole fucking movie, I was impressed by that.
The only part of the movie that stands out as, okay, wait a minute, is the masturbation scene. That's just actually odd. And I don't know if that's the director saying, hey, man, Italian women, they're just drilling themselves if they're alone at home. I don't know if that's the commentary or what.
No, at one point, when one of the victims is, like, running, and there's this scene where she gets her heel. It's a cliche scene. She gets her heel stuck in a grate, right? And for, like, like, a brief moment, like a fucking... the camera goes under the grate and you look right up at her ass, and then it quickly turns away, like the director had shame, like they were like, oh no, I can't be a pervert, keep going. Like, it's just the male gaze. The male gaze is so trying not to be a pervert in this movie.
Right. For the most part, it's very, very brief stuff. But like I said, the one scene where he looks at that woman and she's doing herself,
and he's
have no explanation. Wow. That scene is
I'm definitely not in Wyoming anymore.
That's New York Ripper type material, which is more sleaze than anything. I mean, that's just a cruel sleaze flick, which we will never watch. That's what I would expect out of that. So again, I don't know if this is one of those things where you sit there and go, is the writer writing from experience? Was the writer go over to Italy and just happened to look out a window and got a great show one night and just decided to write it into a movie?
Well, the Italian,
I don't know, because it was out of place.
Italian director, wasn't it? I mean, Italian writer.
I didn't see who the writer was. I didn't look. Let's say yes. Well, again, there were lots of things when we were in Italy. There were a number of things about Italy that we observed that we thought that Americans would be smart to adopt. Perhaps this is one of them. Just randomly do yourself in the middle of the day with the window open. Who cares?
No, because somebody will call the cops on you and basically have you arrested for...
Well, where I was going with that is Americans could do with being a little less puritanical about sex. So
that's true. This is a very sexually, this is a very puritanical country.
Yes. So, you know what I mean? Maybe that was a little bit of a message to everybody that, hey, man, relax. Relax, you're bored, you got a couple minutes, whatever. So, overall, though, great movie. Very, very, very well done for a movie that I'd never heard of, and that, again, to compare to the next one, which we're going to get into now, could have been done... It was very possible it would not have worked well as it did. It worked very well. So it's remarkable how well it was done for a movie of this time period from Italy. Because there was a lot of shit flying out of the Italian filmmaking industry. A lot. We've watched some of it. And I don't remember I don't think this director was somebody I even knew.
No, we didn't. Yeah, he was just a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's what's weird, because the next guy is somebody that we do know of, which is
the next one is. Hold on, I do want to. Now that you mentioned it, I just want to see. There were 3 writers, all men. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Let's see. The one guy's only written this movie, so my guess is this was either like a script polishing thing or whatever. I'm just trying to see if any of the writers had done a bunch of stuff and if any of it was like this or stuff we've seen. What do you know?
Yeah.
One of the writers, hold on, I want to see the year.
Does porn?
One of them was a writer on, let me go down to make sure I've got it right. I want to make sure it's not like assistant something credit. Did the screenplay and story for Dagger Eyes.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. There you go. Yeah, that makes... and so did the other one. So the two of them, two of the three writers worked on Dagger Eyes.
We should find out what else the two of them have done. That might be fun.
Well, I've got their stuff here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I know them from. Because that is interesting. They've done a lot of Italian stuff, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it might be interesting to see what else they've done together. If far, I mean, we're 2 for 2 with them at this point.
No kidding. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, this and Dagger Eyes might be a good pairing too. I did think about that movie while we were watching this. I did have that thought that, if that woman showed up in this, it would make total sense as one of the models. Yeah, so this movie's very good. So we went from this because I was like, okay, I know of another movie that's fashion-oriented, sleazy, and does have a brother-sister angle. So we followed this up with a movie I reviewed back in 2019. So it's been a while. It's 7 years ago. But I did review it.
Yeah.
You had never seen it. And I don't think I've watched it since then. But I remembered parts of it very, very specifically because they're so weirdly memorable. But it's a movie from 1987 directed by Lamberto Bava, who is Mario Bava's son. Mario Bava is the director of Planet of the Vampires, which both of us like quite a bit. And Lamberto Bava, we have reviewed another movie of his, which is Demons, which is the theater movie. Yeah, the father is the one who did the sci-fi one that we both liked. As well as many other movies. Mario Bava is a very well-known name. His son is also fairly well-known, but not as much as the father.
And up front, I kind of enjoyed this movie. I don't want to, because we're gonna beat it up now. But I didn't hate this movie. I enjoyed watching it. It's just that story-wise, there was a lot of stuff that was telegraphed, and there was a lot of stuff that wasn't. And I think that's what pissed me off, is that there's clearly some intelligence going on here, because there are elements of this movie that the director, writers, whatever, set up that and you go, oh, okay, you're setting this up for something. But then there's other shit that happens, and you're like, dude, where the fuck was the setup for this? You can't just drop this on me. And maybe you think you did set it up, you just didn't set it up enough that, so it's a flawed movie. I did enjoy watching it, and I will admit, the woman, the lead, she is a beautiful woman. I mean, she is, and I'm amazed that we didn't see more of her nude in this movie, but apparently...
In her other filmography, you will see a lot more of her.
Yeah, apparently in this
was a movie where she was kind of sick of it.
Yeah, well, I understand. I mean, that totally makes sense. But yes, she is a beautiful woman.
Yes.
So there is that. But beyond that, the murders in this movie, they just don't add up as well. Go ahead.
Well,
go
okay.
ahead.
So, no, and I actually agree with you. So I find this to be a very entertaining movie. I own this movie. I will also own Nothing Underneath if it is available to buy physically because I like it that much. I'm just more irritated that I'd never seen it before now. But I like this movie enough to own it because visually, I like this movie. It's shot in this very interesting way. I agree with you. The biggest problem, particularly with the ending, is that the narrative, I think I said to you when we were watching it at the end, I said this movie needed 5 to 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
specifically to sprinkle through the motivation.
Yeah, they needed to set up the reason that the killer is the way he is. They can't just spring it on you, which is what it feels like.
But now, this is the thing though. Up until the reveal, I think they did a good job of setting up potential killers. Which really, to me, for most people, if you don't watch a lot of these movies, you would get to a point where you would think it would be one of three people. You would think that it was, up until a certain point, the photographer, the neighbor, or the woman that she used to work with, which actually is the one they set up the best.
I never thought it was the neighbor. The second the neighbor popped up, I was like, yeah.
One of the writers was a producer on Miami Golem, just so you know that. So,
God.
you know.
Yeah. I never thought that. So you know what? You're gonna have to just explain it. Explain it because we're talking about elements.
So here's what it is. Very simple. Movie centers around a woman who is the owner of a hustler type of magazine called Pussycat. It's a pornographic magazine, what they call a gentleman's magazine. It's a porn mag.
Honestly, it felt more Playboy than Hustler. But go on.
No, I always felt like it was more Hustler because it didn't seem like they were even attempting to have articles.
There was no spread eagle shots. I'll put it like that.
Oh no! If you looked in the background, there was some.
Oh, was there?
Some more.
Yeah,
yes, but the other thing is,
okay.
The difference. This has always been my opinion. The difference between Playboy and something like Penthouse or Hustler are: do they attempt to make them seem like there are pages of the magazine that are not for jerking off to? Playboy does. Or did when it existed. They had articles and interviews, which they attempted to be like, no, it's not all about the nudity. It's about the articles. Yeah, sure it was. And then the other ones would drop the pretense and be like, no, we know what you're here for. And we're just going to include more material so that there's going to be some woman in this thing that you're going to end up making the pages sticky to. That's the point. That's it. Sorry, everybody. I don't know if that was a mystery, but that's been solved for you. That's what they were for. So in this thing, she owns whatever version. Playboy, Penthouse, Hustler, who cares? Nude women. That's the point of the mag. It's not to bring you up to the economic news of the day. Okay? She runs this place seemingly with very little interest. She does not seem to really care about it, but her dead husband left her the magazine. And
she was a model. The other thing, too. She was a model, and she married the guy who owned the mag, and then he died, and she...
Right, and they make a big point, which is sort of the phantom possible killer that actually also would have worked very well for me, is she makes a point to say, he never minded that I was a nude model. He didn't even mind, because she talks about prostitution at one point, and she says he never cared about any of that. He loved me. So I'm trying to do this in his memory because he was always so good to me type of thing, right? So it's her, and she has a right-hand woman whose job responsibilities are extraordinarily unclear, but I don't care because it's Daria Nicolodi, who I love because she was in a lot of Dario Argento stuff, and is the wonderful woman who is the romantic interest in Deep Red. So I don't care. Whatever. Everything is forgiven. She's a Mila type for me where I cannot fault her in any way. So she's in it as a drunk, essentially. A drunk assistant of some nature.
And she does feel, and she is a red herring for quite a bit of the movie, so.
But an obvious one. You pretty much know.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's a point where you know for sure because you point out, she got one of these photographs and there's nobody around and she got it, so we know she's not the killer. Because the killer is sending photos to Gloria of the dead people in front of pictures of her. So the other people we meet are her brother, who seems odd, her neighbor, who is very odd, who is a wheelchair-bound pervert,
stalker,
who takes great pleasure. He calls her up and sexually harasses her constantly, although she at times plays along and then doesn't. So you're not really clear.
It's a weird relationship.
The ending absolutely muddies those waters quite a bit, but we'll get there. So that's an odd thing, but he is, by default, in any normal person's estimation, a pervo. And then there's the photographer, who is a Benicio del Toro lookalike. And then we run into the owner of a rival magazine who is clearly in love with Gloria and basically says as much, and Gloria acknowledges it, that she wanted to be with her, and in fact has a young woman in outstanding outfits who hangs around her throughout the movie.
Oh man,
who looks just like John Waters.
The old woman looks like John Waters.
That's what I'm saying.
But her young lady has probably one of the most 80s outfits I have ever seen. It is like the 80s
it's
distilled.
Astonishing.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, if you're into 80s women, which I am, this movie is great for you. You're going to see a lot of great stuff in this movie. So in that particular area, I will admit I am biased towards this movie because it gives me a lot of what I like. So that's fine. So these are the main characters. And then the inspector of the police department shows up, although he's never really never in the running as a killer.
I thought he was going to be more important than he was, but really he was just like... I think the thing is you're used to the detective being more involved. So the fact that he was less important than he came off like he was going to be. Like he kind of just disappears from the movie.
But don't forget, Italian films, especially the ones we've watched, the cop ends up being the one who's not solving things. It's always somebody normal. It's never the law enforcement, right? I mean, even the last one, the brother solved the problem, not the fucking cops. He called him and said, I found him. So, yeah, in Italian films, it is almost never, and again, I don't know if this is a commentary. Remember the one with the prostitute super women force? The cops are like, hey, we can't figure it out. Can you? There's a thing in Italian films that, hey, the cops, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So anybody around them is going to have to solve these problems. And I don't know if that's some kind of deep-seated, unconscious expression of Italian distrust for law enforcement. It might be, because it happens an awful fucking lot in these movies for me to say it's an accident. I mean, Jesus. But anyway, these are your principles. Because at one point you asked me, have we met the killer? And I said, curious, yes. Yeah. I had to think about it because I kind of knew some of the red herrings they were going to set up. So I'm like, and I was kind of running through and like, yes, we've met them all. And so the movie's going along. And the one thing that starts happening, well, it happens twice, but it's notable when it happens, is when two of the women are killed.
Oh, okay.
For some reason.
And this is at once the biggest strength and weakness of the movie. It's a weakness, what Joe's about to describe, only because it's never explained in any way, shape, or form. You know what? I'm going to let you explain this. I'm going to let you, I want to hear your explanation of this because I'm interested. Go ahead. Explain killer vision in this thing. Yeah, so in most of these,
what did you call it? You had a name for it. You said something vision.
He was on acid. He was in like an acid trip.
Acid. That's right. Acid. Murderer. There you go.
So the thing is, in most of these movies, when you see the murderer, you see usually gloves and the hands moving with a weapon, right? To give the idea that you're seeing what the murderer is seeing, right? In this movie, when the gloved hands show up, you also get this weird, like, acid color effect that reminds me of Planet of the Vampires, where it's like reds and blues, and it changes everything. And the thing is that it's not... You realize quickly that it's not that the world itself looks like that. It's that this is what it looks like to the killer. And when the model appears that he is going to kill, that he is pursuing... Now, you have seen this woman already in a previous scene, and she is very pretty. And when you see her in this sequence... She has an eyeball for a head. She has an eyeball effect, a practical effect on her head that still leaves her with like a mouth. So she's still like walking around acting normal, smoking a cigarette. But she's got a fucking eyeball for a head. It is very creepy. And she doesn't go back to having a normal head until she is killed. And when she falls into the pool... dying, now she's human again, and we're out of the killer vision, right? This happens again later in the movie, where the killer goes to kill somebody else, and when he goes in there, she's taking a bath, and when the killer sees her, she gets out of the bath, and she has a giant bee head. Her entire head is the head of a bee. And she's just going about her business. She's still naked from, like, the neck down. She's, like... look at herself in the mirror and like kind of drying herself off, right? But she's got a big fucking bee head. And this is, I guess, supposed to be how the murderer perceives them. And it is the most visually stunning part of the movie. And it's a great strength. It's the reason that you see the movie, honestly, for me, is to see that those sequences are just so fucking weird. What screws me up is the fact that it's never explained. And it doesn't happen more. Like, I wish that this happened at least 2 more times in the movie. It's just such a weird fucking effect. So I really like that it happens. I want it to happen more. It doesn't happen more. And then when you find out who the killer is... there's no explanation, and it's part of the larger problem of Why is the killer this way? Why is he doing what he's doing? I need some, like, just extra bit of information. And it's just like, well, he's never been the same since he hit his head, or he's never been the same since this, or he did too much acid in high school. But it is a really stunning effect. I laughed my fucking ass off when that eyeball woman came out, because it comes out of nowhere. There's no explanation for it. There's no setup for it. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, we're in kaleidoscope land, and here comes the actress, and she's got an eyeball for a head. Same dress, same everything else. So it is both the weakness and strength of this movie for me.
Yeah. So first off, and I agree with you about this, because the thing is, the eyeball woman, and I want to point out, the makeup is spectacular. It's a really striking look. It looks good. It doesn't look like shit. It looks like that Mad Ball that we all had if we were kids, when Mad Ball's around. That's the eyeball as a person. It's great. And she, at one point, is smoking a cigarette with the eye face.
Yeah. She's just
and it is
normal.
it's the most absurd image that, as you said, is inexplicable. Now, at least in the second killing, he's wearing a beekeeper outfit. Again, unexplained, but he kills her with bees, so it's at least thematically fitting. But the first one, you don't see the killer at all. So it's not like he's wearing an ophthalmologist. That's eye doctor, right? Ophthalmologist. He's not wearing an eye doctor's outfit, and that's why he's seeing an eyeball that would at least give you something. He kills her with a pitchfork, which has nothing to do with eyes. If he'd stabbed her in the eyes with ice picks, again, you might put two and two together, sort of. But you're right in that the killer is the by far weakest element of the movie. Is the setup and the red herrings are all good. You're not sure who the killer is. Again, much like Nothing Underneath, it starts whittling them down and eliminating them either by killing them off, or seemingly killing them off, or having them reveal something that indicates they're not the killer. And so you get down to it only being a handful of people. And so the first time I watched this, because of course I've seen this before, so I knew who the killer was. Which, spoiler alert, it's the incestuous brother. And we'll get to why that's stupid in a minute.
Yeah, but you said it right there. It's that word. It's incestuous. There's nothing that sets you up for the incestuous part.
Right. And so this is the thing. The two ideas, when I originally watched this, I thought it was one of three people. I thought, until a certain point, I was like, it's either the husband, who's not actually dead, it's the John Waters woman, who's a spurned lover and wants to destroy her and then own her, or it's Daria Nicolodi, but they eliminate that at one point by having her get the photo when no one's around. Because up to that point, she shows up with it conveniently.
Yeah, because it shows that it's being done to her. She's not doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So at a certain point in the movie, when I first watched it, I thought it was the photographer, Daria, the John Waters woman, or the husband. I never thought it was the brother.
Well,
because there was nothing setting it up.
They also appear to kill him.
Yes. Now this time when I watched it, I was paying attention to the brother because I knew it was him. And there are little slight things that make you think. But again, you have to remember, well, I have to keep in mind, I'm an American. Europeans tend to be more affectionate with each other in general. The kissing on the cheeks thing, which no fucking American does. Like, nobody's kissing each other on a fucking cheek when they say hello. I don't even like hugging people. Handshakes. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that type. So, even though it's an Italian film, so I know, I get it. But, like, my father didn't do that shit. You knew my father. My father wasn't doing that. He didn't kiss you on a fucking cheek when he saw you. So,
your dad always kissed me on the cheek when I saw him.
Well, that's true. You were an exception. I think you like the feel of your facial hair on him. But in any event, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, some of this might just seem odd to an American, but then there's other stuff where I'm like, yeah, he's really close to her. He's saying things and looking at her a certain way that somewhat, if there was more set up later, if there was an explanation, what they needed, here's what they needed, right? They needed a scene with Daria and Gloria sitting there, and Daria says something, because Daria and the brother snipe at each other a lot, and you don't know why, and it's never explained. They just don't like each other, and then it just kind of fades off.
Well,
So
he
it
doesn't
would've been
like
great
anybody. He doesn't like anyone's closer to her than he is.
Okay, but that just you don't know how far it goes, and that's where you need a scene where Glorious, and her are talking. He's like, "Why is he so possessive of you?" And Gloria says something. Well, he's always been a little odd, but our parents died, and I had to take care of him. Well, what do you mean he was always a little odd? Well, when we were younger, he used to get in bed with me.
No, you're
and he'd
right.
want to play doctor. But simple.
Yes, but you're saying exactly that. It just needed more setup so that when
Right.
it happens, because the brother
So what I'm
sets
saying
up
is,
like he's dead.
Well,
and that's
okay.
what takes.
But before we get to dead, they do sort of do little things, but not enough. Because again, on a first watch, you're not paying attention to the brother.
No, I did pay attention to the brother, and they didn't do enough.
Well, they didn't do enough, but there are little odd things that I completely missed the first time because I wasn't paying attention. I just thought he was an asshole.
Yeah.
But I was kind of looking at everybody equally, so I'm like bouncing between people. And then there's a point where, yes, he appears to be dead, and his body goes missing, which makes sense because that they actually do well. Because the killer usually takes a body. Yeah, for a couple days and then they show up. So that's not strange because the one body, there's two people killed at the same time. A woman in a store and him. And the woman shows up and then they're like, all right, well, now we just got to wait for the brother to show up. So you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And then at the end, you basically, if you didn't know what was going to happen, you think, okay, it's got to be John Waters' woman because they've been so aggressive at each other and she clearly is in love with her still, or it's the perv neighbor who the doctor, when he shows up, says, hey, you could walk. He's like, there's nothing physically wrong with you. He's like, yeah, I know. They say there's nothing wrong with my spine. I just can't get over the fact that I got into a car accident and my girlfriend died. Right?
Yeah.
So they're setting it up effectively, I think.
Oh, no.
But then...
I'm telling you right now, at some point in the movie, that guy pulled a rifle out, right? And I said, oh, this just got serious. And then I stopped and I said, oh, wait a minute. Is the stalker going to end up being the guy who kills the killer and saves the girl? Because that was like the absurd setup early on.
What they also could have done is they could have had him shoot somebody, tell Gloria, hey, I killed the killer, and then he comes down, and then you find out it's actually him, and it was to get her to let him in. You know what I mean? There's ways to do it where even that could be done.
But the movie, to me, felt like that's what it was going to do.
Well, right, but that could have been a fake out. What I'm saying is you could have engineered it where those two could have worked. Either John Waters or the pervo could have been the killer, and it would have made sense, and you would have accepted it. But then, at the very end, with 8 minutes left or so, the brother's floating in the water, and she screams.
And you think that it's the killer having thrown the body in there just to fuck.
Correct, because it fits the MO. So again, that's all set up fine. That's no problem. Then he suddenly attacks her, and you find out that he wants to possess her, and he wants to sleep with her, or whatever. He's like, I killed them all because only I can have you.
I don't even know if he wants to sleep with her. Like, that's what I mean.
Then it's just possessive. That's fine.
It's just so, like, he wants her to take her clothes off. But, like, at no point did I have any idea of what it is that he actually wanted of her. Like, it's just...
I agree. You don't get enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the pervo neighbor shoots him. And then she has a nightmare that the brother, through the dick, which paralyzes him. So he doesn't get killed. He just gets paralyzed.
Yeah.
And then the pervo neighbor shows up and after a dream sequence, and they kind of have this moment, this cute moment where he's like, you don't mind if I call you anymore. Yeah.
I thought they were going to end up together the way that fucking shit went.
Oh, no. I do think that's what they're indicating, is that there's at least a possibility of it.
Because he's like, well, you don't mind if I call you? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
No, that's okay. And it's
I'll see you around.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's what they're kind of indicating, is that it's a possibility, which is fucked up. So, but as you said, this is the thing that torpedoes the whole movie is, I don't even care if they don't explain the killer vision thing. I'm okay with that. It's bizarre, but who cares?
I know, but it's part of the larger problem that they just don't give you enough to work with the killer.
Well, the crucial problem is that the brother's turn and his whatever interest in her is out of nowhere. There is nothing set up properly for that. And so as a viewer, you're sitting there going, well, then this could have just been a random guy. What's the brother's significance? You're just doing this, and the reason is because it's a shocking thing to have the brother. But that's nothing.
Oh, we thought he was dead, but he's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing that keeps the movie. And honestly, it's worse having seen Nothing Underneath. Before Nothing Underneath, I didn't have this major of a problem with this. I was like, okay, whatever. It's, it's not great, but it's a fun movie about, models and a brother-sister thing. But then you watch Nothing Underneath, you're like, oh, no, this is a better version of it. So this makes this look worse. Where, again, I do think this movie is more artistically interesting visually. Not only for the eyeball woman and bee woman.
No, it has some it does have some very nice shots.
Also, bee woman prancing about her apartment in the most overtly sexual way possible is hilarious. Speaking of male gaze, I mean, I don't think most women are bouncing around in negligee like that. Maybe sometimes, but not. I don't know. It didn't seem natural to me. It seemed like maybe the director was going, be sexier, which we do get at the beginning of the movie where they're screaming, come on, come forward, have fun, look like you're having a good time getting groped.
Act
God
like
damn it,
you
what's wrong
want it. Come on. Yeah.
That may be that probably is an accurate representation of modeling in the mid-80s when everybody was coked up. So I'm not doubting that's probably based on real life. But yes, that's the problem is visually, I think this movie is much more interesting in the way that it does things, like where the killer's setting them up, like the makeup on the bee woman's face, but the way they're kind of like positioning them and all that stuff is really, really visually interesting. But then you get to the killer and you're like, why? Whereas in Nothing Underneath, still well shot, but you get things like the Wendy's scene, which is just bizarre and uninteresting visually at all, where you're just sitting there going, why is this in a Wendy's? And why is Donald Pleasance doing this accent? And much of it is unremarkable from a filmmaking perspective. There's not really interesting stuff going. It's perfectly serviceable, but the story is what makes it good. Because you're invested, you don't know what's going on, but not because you're being bullshitted, which is what happens in the second movie with the brother, but because you're getting pieces of the narrative and you're trying to piece it together. And that's between the two of them, Nothing Underneath overall is a better movie for most people. Now, if you're somebody like me who can bypass a lot of problems if the visuals and the weird things are interesting enough, then I'd say that they're on equal footing. But only if you're okay with that. You have to know going in.
I think that
the narrative scales are not equal at all.
I think Nothing Underneath is a better movie, but I do agree that Delirium is visually more fun.
And that's why I'm making the point that Nothing Underneath, for most people, is the better movie without any hesitation. But if you're a film head like I am, and I watched Wavelength. Okay? I watched Wavelength, and I probably will watch it again at some point, because I really want to see if that same weird headspace thing replicates. And most people ain't getting through fucking 10 minutes of that. They ain't doing it. So, that's why I'm saying I'm carving out the little niche space for the people with alternate wiring that's similar to mine. Delirium, for some people, might end up being the better movie if the visuals are the more important measure for you. But narratively, as a cohesive total film, Nothing Underneath is better. So I'm just clarifying this because I think for some people, something like The Eyeball Lady, which honestly, now that we watch that again, I really am going to draw that woman and put it on a shirt. Like I have to. It's just with the cigarette. It's so bizarre. And that's the thing is, when I'm thinking of Nothing Underneath.
You should put it with that line. Don't underestimate the stupidity of lust.
The stupidity of lust? No, it might be a good fit. But this is the thing, right? Nothing Underneath, when I think of it visually, like I'm thinking of scenes. Yeah. And the only scenes I really think of are Wendy's, which is not a good thing. It's just that it's so weird. And the ending. That's what comes to me. Whereas Delirium, Eyeball Woman, the Bee Woman, when he's taking the photos of the dead bodies, some of the overhead shots where it's moving around. There's lots more that I visually connect with. Again, guys, this is not me making an argument that it's better.
No. Listen, listeners. I like Nothing Underneath because I'm a writer. Joe likes Delirium because he's an illustrator.
That's correct. But again, I will reiterate that if you are not an illustrator or a film weirdo, Nothing Underneath is the sure bet. And if you're only going to watch one of these two, for most people, I'm going to recommend Nothing Underneath. I like them both.
Why do you have to watch one? I mean, can we watch both of these?
Well, some people, I have been asked by more than one person, how do you have time to watch all this shit? So, projecting myself into the people who don't have the time I have, but may want to watch interesting movies that are off the beaten path for them. If you can only watch one of these two, I agree with Lando that Nothing Underneath is probably going to be the success rate for more people. But if you have the time that I have, or you're a wackadoo like I am, I didn't mean to say wackadoo, I meant to say wackadoo, and I slurred the D. So just so nobody thinks I'm trying to say something fucked up. No, because I could feel like I misformed the word. I was kind of forming whack job and wackadoo, but whack job I find to be more insulting than wackadoo.
No,
so I was slurring.
Good back pedal. Go on.
I'm just making sure people know. Because for all I know, there is a slur based on that. So I'm being careful here. I'm just being cautious.
All right.
Again, broad mainstream recommendation, Nothing Underneath. Alternate wiring in the head, more time on your hands, watch Delirium 2. I would probably watch them in reverse order. That would actually be my primary recommendation. If you're going to watch them both, watch Delirium first, then watch Nothing Underneath. I think it will be more satisfying because you'll see one that's on the ending, and then you'll get to the second one and be like, see, this is it. This is how you make this. Because you get about equal skin, although, the main woman in Delirium is...
Oh, no, she is a beautiful woman.
Staggering. So, there is that. But plenty of beautiful people in the second movie, too. So it's not like you're not going to see pretty people. You will. So that's the easy thing. As our short thing of Mila March, Fifth Element. If you've never seen it somehow, which is probably not many people at this point, you are missing out.
No, don't say that, because I think that Fifth Element is becoming one of those movies that it's being kind of left behind by some people. Like sci-fi people, yes, but a lot of other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, think about it. The other day we were talking about how old Aliens was, right? And we were like, that movie is like, what is that?
The movie is 30 years old now. Or sorry, 40 years old. It's 86. 40 years old.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. 40 years old. So so Fifth Element is falling into that crowd. That was one of the first movies that Mila did. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I think that was her biggest movie at the time by far. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's rapidly becoming one of those movies that's kind of out of the loop from everyday viewers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Fifth Element, that's an easy
recommendation. A lot of fun.
You should see it.
See it. Yeah. It's great. It's a blast. And then as far as Nothing Underneath and Delirium, well, we've talked about them, so you can make your decision on that. And both of those, Delirium is on Daily Motion, so I think I have that linked in the show notes. And then Nothing Underneath, I believe, is on a bunch of free services. Let me verify that really quick. Let's see.
You know what?
You can watch that all over the place.
I think they're both worth paying for, at least watching once.
Sure. Oh, I agree.
Because I think Delirium has its flaws, but I think it's definitely worth watching once.
Oh, I totally agree, but I like to point out when there's a free option.
Yeah.
Because, people's budgets are in wildly different places.
No, I
and
agree.
If there's a way to watch it free, I'd rather you experience something for free, if not at all. So, yeah. And there you have it. So, again, we have a nice streak going where unintentionally movies seem to line up. And they were all interesting Fifth Element, again, that's a lock. I knew that, so I don't even have to qualify that one. But Nothing Underneath was a roll of the dice. Even from my end, where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be any good. And ended up being the one that of the two that was really surprising and very good.
Yep.
And I'm not surprised that the Dagger Eyes people are involved, because I did think of that movie.
Yeah, but now
for some reason, and now obviously why. Yeah, no, I'll look through their filmography and see. I mean, one of them has done a shit ton of stuff, but I'm sure a lot of it may not be interesting for us, so I'll just look. So I'll scan through it, and you can do it too. You can look too and see if there's anything that stands out to you. I'll watch whatever. The only tricky part with some of it might be finding good copies of it, because, But if there is a way, I'll try to do it. And on that note, everybody, whatever you choose to entertain yourself this weekend with, that was a strange way to phrase that sentence, sorry. Whatever you choose to entertain yourself with this weekend would have been the proper way to say that. And I let off saying that somebody said I was articulate. Anyway, whatever you do, have a good time doing it, and we'll be back again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.